So Wuthering Waves is finally ending the version 1.3 phase 1, with us moving on to some other updates coming into phase 2, which is obviously stuff like Yohu coming out, and also a ton of new events, which I actually talked about in my last video. And well, Black Shores really showed us where Wuthering Waves is at, and what kind of stuff that Kuro Games can bring to the overall gacha sphere, in terms of quality and just overall storytelling, character creation, and gameplay. I mean, everything has been absolutely great. And obviously, since Wuthering Waves was first released, a lot of people have been comparing it to games like Genshin Impact, and they're still doing it to this day. Now, in this video, we're going to be going through a couple of posts I saw about some people comparing Wuthering Waves to Genshin Impact. Now, there's one person who doesn't seem to like Wuthering Waves that much, and there's also another person who seems to love Wuthering Waves a ton and thinks it's way better than Genshin, which again, I definitely think there are some points in this argument that are kind of flawed. And I think a lot of people don't really understand what this kind of means. As much as I hate to say it, Genshin Impact does have some good sides to it, even though some people don't really want to admit that. So we're going to be going through these posts to find out whether Wuthering Waves is better than Genshin Impact or not, and just kind of going over some commonly brought up arguments. But before I get into this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and also go to my Twitch where I'm going to be streaming live. It'll be down in the pinned comment down below, or also in the description. I definitely recommend giving me a follow because it gives you a notification as soon as I go live, so again, you won't be able to miss it. And yeah, we just do a ton of Wuthering Waves stuff, and also some reacts to some Wuthering Waves content, as well as some other gachas and other gacha content as well. So I definitely recommend, coming over and giving me a follow. But let's get back into the video. So the first post that I actually saw was from this user called Legend007. Now, this is a person that's been on the Twitter community, and I don't want to make this video like entirely about them or anything. I'm not trying to call them out. I'm not trying to support them or anything like that. But I just thought it was a very interesting argument that they brought up, and it just kind of caught my eye. Now, I'm going to actually start with this post here, saying why Wuthering Waves combat feels so satisfying. And they pretty much just put up a post of a combat sequence. I mean, it's nothing special in particular, it's just Wuthering Waves' usual combat. I mean, it is great, and I do agree that Wuthering Waves combat does feel extremely satisfying, and I think that's one of the good parts that Wuthering Waves does. I think that Wuthering Waves, they've really cooked on the whole parry system and stuff to do with that, as well as the intro skills. They've just kind of made it more interesting than a lot of the other open world gacha games that we've seen. Now, this person below who has the name Kakashi, which, obviously after the anime character, and they say, cause that's the only thing that Wuthering Waves is good at. Everything else is trash. Character design, except Yilin, story, and laughs revenue. So again, this is absolutely crazy, and this person saying that everything else in Wuthering Waves is trash, which I don't believe is true at all, and saying that character design is trash apart from Yinlin is absolutely insane. I definitely think, character design and designing a lot of interesting characters is one of Wuthering Waves' strong points, and to say that they're not good at that at all is absolutely crazy. And I think a lot of people have a kind of misunderstanding of what the word good means, because obviously, you have people that say something's peak, which obviously means it's going to be the best of the best, but saying something's good isn't exactly the most praising statement or anything like that. So to say something that's not even good pretty much just says that it's bad, and saying that the character design is bad is completely disingenuous. And the story, I can definitely see why a lot of people don't like that. Obviously, a lot of people, they got into the game very early, and maybe they quit it after like 1.1 or something, and just didn't really enjoy the story at the start because, yeah, it wasn't the best. I'll be honest. There is some stuff to do with Wuthering Waves that isn't very polished, or that isn't as good as maybe some other gacha games, which, I think we all can admit. And I think that, if you don't like a game because of that, that's totally fine. But the final point also got me as well, the revenue. Now, I don't know why this point is being brought up in the first place. The revenue has nothing to do with how good a game is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I really don't think I could add anything else onto that. The revenue doesn't equate to how good a game is, or how good the combat is, or how good the story is, or how good the characters are. It could come down to a lot of those factors, of course. Maybe some people just don't like the story or whatever, so they don't play the game. But to use revenue as one of the factors in why Wuthering Waves isn't good is just totally, wrong. It's still doing pretty decently in terms of revenue, and they can still make a very, very good game. So again, I don't think revenue is a factor at all. And then this person replies saying you become blind because you become slaves to another company, probably Hoyoverse. Wuthering has the best models and some of the best character designs. You're too stupid to see it. You hate this game for no reason. Now, I don't know why they brought up Hoyoverse there. Now, I think it is kind of wrong to just assume that they've come from Hoyoverse. I mean, there's no indicators on their account that they have been, unless, I don't know, maybe they posted something, but I don't really want to go to their account account for that. But they say, bro, what do you mean by this? I've played Wuthering till 1.1 and Wuthering felt so boring I dropped it. So again, as I said, a lot of people did drop it after 1.1 because they didn't enjoy the story, which I think is totally fine. And I think I can kind of get where this guy's coming from in terms of, it was boring and they've dropped it. There is a lot of people that did drop it, and there's some people that did give it a chance in the Black Shores and now love the game. So again, they say Hoyo is just better. You just hate to admit it, and that's all. Stay happy with your keeper and go play 5.1's Archon to even grasp that the Wuthering story is nowhere near Genshin or HSR, which again is absolutely crazy because I've heard a lot of people say that the 5.1 Archon quest isn't even that good, especially the fact that they missed out a lot of the voice lines in the game, which obviously is due to the voice actor strikes, but they didn't make any other kind of arrangements. They just didn't have any voices, which is crazy to be comparing the Black Shores to, which was fully voiced and, had a very, very decent story in my opinion. And then this continues. Obviously, they make a quote retweet about this, saying, why would I waste my time on Genshin Impact when they're still recycling 4-year-old animations? Just look at the cinematic difference. Now, this is a big point that people bring up whenever comparing Wuthering Waves to Genshin Impact, is the kind of animations and character designs. Now, this video, as you can see, it's a very, very different style. The style of Genshin is very cartoony, whereas Wuthering Waves seem to have made a more kind of mature kind of animation style, which again, I think that a lot of different people will enjoy. And I think it's very important that a lot of people do remember that Genshin Impact is pretty much a kid's game. Like, you can't deny that, Genshin Impact's main target audience is, around children, and I think a cartoony kind of vibe to it is much better to, kind of cater to that audience than something like Wuthering Waves, which I think Wuthering Waves caters to a more older audience, maybe, teenage or above. So I think it's kind of unfair to kind of compare a lot of the art styles. Now, I do think a lot of Genshin Impact's older art style with stuff like D-Look and characters like that, I do think they do look terrible, I'll be honest, but they have really improved in the newer updates, Natlan, Fontaine, etc. But I do think that's just their own style and that's the audience they're catering to. I don't think we should be comparing both of the character designs because I think they're meant for completely different audiences. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, Wuthering Waves' character design and their models are amazing. I definitely think that, they are really, really cooking with them. But again, I do think it is unfair to compare the two in terms of how good it is because I think they are both pretty decent for the purpose that they, serve. And then they compare even more stuff, saying Wuthering Waves doesn't force you to pull characters to explore, unlike Hoyoverse, which is very true. Wuthering Waves actually release a lot of updates to do with traversal, which pretty much cover all of the characters. You don't have to pull a character to do it. Now, there is some traversal things with some of the characters, like the butterfly mode with Shorekeeper, but apart from that, you don't really have to pull it. They have some really good, choices for you to, just traverse the world without even having to pull a particular character. Whereas Genshin Impact at the moment have a lot of stuff with stuff like Natlan and places like that, where you've actually got to pull the character. There's Zelanon, there's Kinich, people like that who have all of these abilities which help you traverse the world, which is great, but you have to pull for them, which means, you have to spend money on them if you haven't saved up for them. And they say as well, just look at this 1.3 main Steam quest, look at how much they've improved, but for you, everything is trash except for Hoyoverse games. You've got some serious blind spots. So again, I definitely think this is a very unique part of Wuthering Waves, and I think that if Genshin Impact did something like this, I think, that would actually do very well for them too. But yeah, it's very interesting to see Kuro Games like kind of experimenting with this different kind of game style, so I definitely think that's very interesting too. And obviously there's this one video of people comparing Genshin characters to Wuthering Waves characters. Again, as I said, they're meant for two different purposes. Now, they say Wuthering Waves has character designs and models with eye movement that put Genshin Impact to shame, even at this early 1.3 stage. Genshin's characters look stiff and lifeless, while Wuthering Waves is just getting started. Just wait until the future. Now, I do definitely agree that there is a lot more kind of, there's a lot more kind of animations and stuff like detail in the animations which make Wuthering Waves look better. But as I said, I don't think it's bad for Genshin Impact. Obviously, Genshin Impact is old, and I know that they could be updating it, but the thing is, I think it kind of adds to that cartoony style that they've, kind of stuck with now. I think it is kind of unfair to be comparing the two, but I do think, in my personal opinion, Wuthering Waves characters do look better, but that's because it's more meant for my audience than, than for Genshin Impact's audience. But I still play both of the games, and I still think they're both pretty good, and yeah, I think overall, this is a pretty stupid argument to be having overall. I think that both games are good in their own respects. Now, obviously, Genshin Impact does have its issues whenever it comes to rewards and everything like that, and, giving players free stuff. But in terms of the actual gameplay and stuff like that, and the overall character designs, I do think that Genshin Impact isn't the worst of the worst. There is definitely worse games out there. But also, I don't think it's fair to be, kind of slating Wuthering Waves for being a bad game like this other person is, because, you know, it's clearly a good game that is, you know, I think at least comparable with Genshin Impact or even more. I definitely think, in my opinion, it is a little bit more because, again, it's more catered towards me. But I think a lot of this fighting to do with like which one's better does get kind of stupid at times because you just kind of end up arguing about kind of non-points. But yeah, that was a quick like little conversation thing that I wanted to talk about. I just found it really interesting because obviously this isn't the only person kind of talking about this. A lot of people think the Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact are better than the other, whatever. It's kind of a long debate that's been going on for ages, and it seems to be a thing that happens with Genshin Impact all the time because, again, they compare it to every single gacha game that comes out ever. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that Wuthering Waves is better than Genshin Impact, or Genshin Impact is better than Wuthering Waves? Or do you think that they've both got their own kind of strong points, and they've both got their kind of weak points as well? But yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If you did enjoy it, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also go to my Twitch, as I said. I'll be streaming live there. I definitely recommend going to check it out in the pinned comment or the description below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.